Your messy room is destroying your future, and it's your fault. Princeton proved that physical clutter hijacks your visual cortex. UCLA confirmed it spikes cortisol by 30%, and a Texas study showed strangers can predict your entire personality just by looking at your bedroom. But none of them found the real reason why. 4,000 years before neuroscience existed, the Egyptian priesthood already had the answer. They encoded it into a two-directional circuit hidden inside the emerald tablet, a principle the modern world reduced to a bumper sticker and stripped of its most powerful half. Today, we restore the missing arrow. You know this room. You might be sitting in a version of it right now. Clothes on the chair, dishes by the bed, a desk buried under papers you told yourself you would organize last week. Everyone knows this feels bad, but almost nobody asks the real question: why does physical disorder hijack your ability to think? In 2011, the Princeton Neuroscience Institute published a study that changed everything. They proved that visual clutter literally competes for representation in your visual cortex. Your brain can't filter it out. Every piece of disorder is stealing processing power from the task you're actually trying to do. Then UCLA's Center on Everyday Lives and Families tracked 32 families and found that mothers who described their homes as cluttered had flat cortisol curves, a stress pattern linked to chronic fatigue and even depression. Your room isn't just reflecting your stress, it's manufacturing it. And here is where it gets really interesting. Psychologist Sam Gosling at the University of Texas found that untrained strangers can predict someone's personality traits, conscientiousness, openness, even emotional stability, just by looking at their bedroom for 5 minutes. Accuracy rate? Over 80%. Modern science treats these findings as breakthroughs, but here is the part no one in academia mentions. Slow down for a moment. The ancient Egyptians didn't just know this, they built their entire civilization on it. They encoded the relationship between space and mind into the most sophisticated architectural system the ancient world ever produced. Walk into the Temple of Karnak and you are not entering a building, you are entering a machine. Every column height, every corridor width, every ceiling painting was calculated to produce a specific psychological and spiritual effect on the person moving through it. This was not decoration, this was technology. The Egyptian priesthood had a word for this, wabet. It meant the pure place. Before any ritual, any invocation, any contact with the divine, the space had to be purified first. Not the mind, the space. They understood that you could not access a higher state of consciousness inside a disordered environment. The room came first. The priests of Thoth, the god of wisdom and writing, maintained their temple quarters with obsessive precision, not because of aesthetics, because they believed that the arrangement of physical objects directly influenced the quality of thought that could occur within that space. Disorder wasn't just messy, it was spiritually dangerous. The scholar R.A. Schwaller de Lubitsch spent 15 years measuring the Temple of Luxor. His conclusion was staggering. The temple's proportions are an exact map of the human body. The sanctuary corresponds to the head. The outer courts correspond to the limbs. The Egyptians didn't build a temple for worship, they built a stone model of the human being, designed to transform anyone who walked through it. So think about what this means. The most advanced spiritual civilization in the ancient world treated physical space as the first prerequisite for mental clarity, and we think clean your room is basic productivity advice from a self-help book. Something got lost in translation, and it got lost because we only inherited half the principle. The Kybalion, published in 1908 by the mysterious 3 initiates, lays out 7 Hermetic principles. The second principle is correspondence. Most people know the catchphrase, as above, so below. It shows up on t-shirts, tattoo parlors, and Instagram captions, but almost nobody has actually read what the principles say. The full axiom reads, that which is below corresponds to that which is above, and that which is above corresponds to that which is below, to accomplish the miracle of the one thing. Notice the structure. It does not say above shapes below, it says above corresponds to below and below corresponds to above. Two directions, one circuit. Most people only learn the first half. This is the missing arrow. The self-help world teaches change your thoughts, change your reality. Mind flows down to matter, top down, but the Hermetic principle says the circuit runs both ways. Matter flows up to mind. Your physical environment is actively, right now, shaping the thoughts you are capable of having. And modern science is now proving this bottom-up direction. Environmental psychologist Lily Bernheyer's research shows that ceiling height changes abstract thinking capacity. Room color alters emotional regulation. Even the angle of furniture placement shifts social behavior. Your environment is not a backdrop, it's an input device feeding data directly into your brain. Behavioral scientists call this embodied cognition, the theory that your cognitive processes aren't locked inside your skull, they extend into your body and your environment. Your thinking is distributed across the space you inhabit. A cluttered room doesn't just distract you, it fragments your cognition at the hardware level. But the Egyptians went even further than embodied cognition. They had a concept that modern science hasn't even touched yet. They called it Ma'at, the principle of cosmic order, truth, and balance that sustains reality itself. And they believed that physical disorder wasn't just inconvenient, it was a violation of the fundamental structure of the universe. Every Egyptian official swore an oath to Ma'at. The vizier, the highest government officer, was literally called the priest of Ma'at. Their job wasn't just administration, it was maintaining order, physical, social, and cosmic order, because the Egyptians believed these three layers were the same thing. Disrupt one, and you disrupt all of them. This is the correspondence principle operating at full power. The Egyptians saw three planes, mental, physical, and cosmic, locked in a permanent feedback loop. Your disordered room isn't just affecting your brain chemistry. According to this framework, it's disrupting your relationship with the ordering principle of reality itself. You're not just messy, you're out of alignment with Ma'at. So, we've established the evidence from both sides, modern neuroscience confirming what the Egyptians encoded into stone 4 millennia ago. But there's still a missing piece. If correspondence is a two-way street, why does the modern world only teach one direction? What was stripped out, and who stripped it? In 1463, Cosimo de' Medici ordered Marsilio Ficino to stop translating Plato, and translate a newly discovered manuscript instead. That manuscript was the Corpus Hermeticum, attributed to Hermes Trismegistus. Cosimo believed it was older and more important than all of Greek philosophy combined, and inside it was the uncut version of correspondence. Corpus Hermeticum, Treatise 11, Hermes speaks to mind directly. Having all power, he contemplates all things. Look upon the cosmos through me and consider its beauty carefully. A body imperishable, nothing more ancient, always vigorous, always young, and ever more and more vigorous. Hermes is saying the physical world is not dead matter, it is a living body of mind, and your local slice of that body, your room, is alive with your consciousness. And here is the piece that was lost. Corpus Hermeticum, Treatise 9. If then you do not make yourself equal to God, you cannot apprehend God, for like is known by like. Excited, do you hear the implication? You cannot access a higher state by thinking your way there alone. You must make your entire field, body, space, environment correspond to that state first. The room is the prerequisite, not the reward. Think about what this means for your life right now. Every morning you wake up in a disordered room, you are not just starting your day in a mess, you are telling the deepest layer of your consciousness, this is who I am, this is the level of order I deserve. And the correspondence principle ensures that your thoughts, your decisions, your entire day will match that signal. The Egyptian temple wasn't a church you visited once a week, it was a technology you inhabited. The proportions were calibrated, the colors were chosen to trigger specific neurological responses. The scents, the sounds, the spatial flow, every variable was engineered to shift consciousness from the profane to the sacred. They called this transition entering the horizon. Egyptian temples progressively narrowed and darkened from entrance to sanctuary. The floor rose, the ceiling dropped, light diminished. This architectural compression mimicked the journey from the chaotic outer world to the unified inner mind. By the time a priest reached the innermost chamber, the naos, the space itself had already altered their state of consciousness. The building did the work. And this is the paradigm shift. Cleaning your room is not a chore. It is not productivity optimization. It is the most immediate and accessible form of hermetic practice available to you right now. You are not organizing objects, you are constructing a temple. You are engineering the field in which your consciousness operates. The Egyptians understood that you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your environment. Your room is not where your life happens. Your room is the spell that determines how your life happens. Every object in it is either pulling you toward the person you want to become or anchoring you to the person you are trying to leave behind. So how do you actually use this? Not as vague spiritual advice, but as an operational protocol. The ancient Hermetic and Egyptian traditions give us a precise 5-step system for transforming your physical space into a tool for mental transformation. And it starts with an audit. Step 1. The audit. Walk through your space and look at every single object as a symbol. Ask one question: does this correspond to the person I am becoming or the person I used to be? Old textbooks from a major you abandoned, a gift from a relationship that ended badly, clothes that haven't fit in 2 years. These are not neutral objects, they are anchors to a past version of your identity, and the correspondence principle is using them against you. Step 2. The purge. Remove what anchors you to the past. Reflectively, this mirrors the Egyptian concept of ritual purification, the Wabet process. Before any sacred work could begin, the old contamination had to be eliminated, not stored in a closet, not pushed under the bed, removed from the field entirely. Every object you release breaks one thread of a correspondence loop that was holding your mind in a pattern you've outgrown. Step 3. The encoding. Now you deliberately place objects that correspond to the identity you are building. The Egyptians filled their temples with specific symbols, colors, and materials chosen for their vibrational properties. You can do the same thing. Books by the thinkers you want to become, colors that evoke the emotional states you want to inhabit, tools of the craft you're building. Every object is a vote for who you are becoming. Step 4. The threshold. Create a conscious transition point. The Egyptians marked the boundary between profane and sacred space with pylons, massive gateways that signaled a shift in reality. Your version can be as simple as a specific breath you take when you enter your room, a phrase you say, or a deliberate moment of stillness at the door. The point is to mark the crossing. You are entering your temple. Step 5. The maintenance. Entropy is not a suggestion, it's a law. The Hermetic principle of polarity teaches that everything has 2 poles, and without deliberate effort, all systems drift toward chaos. The Egyptians performed daily temple rituals, not because the gods demanded worship, but because order requires constant renewal. Your space will degrade. Maintaining it is an act of will, not a chore. 5 steps. Audit, purge, encode, threshold, maintain. This is not a cleaning routine. This is the Hermetic method of environmental alchemy, transforming the base matter of your daily surroundings into a gold standard for your consciousness. The Egyptians spent centuries perfecting this at the scale of temples. You can begin tonight at the scale of your bedroom. But there's a sixth layer the Egyptians added that goes beyond physical arrangement: Heka, the magical power of activating a prepared space with speech and intention. The priest didn't just clean the temple. After preparing the space, they spoke specific words to activate it. In modern terms, this is the difference between setting up a laboratory and actually running the experiment. The space is the lab. Your focused intention is the catalyst. And again, modern research echoes this. Environmental psychologist Roger Ulrich's studies show that patients in hospitals recover faster when they have a view of nature, not just a clean room, but a room with intention behind its design. The arrangement alone isn't enough. The space must be activated by purpose. The Egyptians called this Heka. Modern architects are just starting to call it evidence-based design. Pause. Now pull back, way back. If correspondence is real, if the physical truly mirrors the mental and the mental mirrors the cosmic, then the implications are staggering. You are not just cleaning a room, you are calibrating a node in a network that extends from your desk to the structure of the galaxy. The Hermeticists didn't think this was metaphor, they thought this was physics. Modern mathematics actually supports this. Fractal geometry shows that nature repeats the same patterns at every scale, from the branching of trees to the branching of blood vessels, to the branching of river deltas, to the branching of galaxy filaments. The same structural logic appears everywhere. The Hermetic axiom isn't mysticism, it's a description of how self-similar systems operate across scales. The Emerald Tablet ends with a line that most people skip. Thus was the world created. Not thus was the world described, created. The Hermetic position is that correspondence is not an observation about reality, it is the mechanism by which reality is generated. The pattern at one level literally produces the pattern at the next. Sit with that for a moment. If the room you inhabit is a fractal node in a universal pattern, if the order or chaos of your personal space genuinely corresponds to the order or chaos of your mind, your relationships, your career, your entire trajectory, then the most powerful thing you can do today is not read another book, it is to physically restructure the space you wake up in. The alchemists called the transformation of base metal into gold the great work, the magnum opus. But the real alchemists knew this was never about literal metal. The Kybalion states plainly, mental transmutation is the art of changing mental states, forms, and conditions. Your room is your alchemical vessel. The mess is lead. The order you impose is the transmutation. The gold is the quality of consciousness that emerges on the other side. Egyptian craftsmen who built the pyramids didn't just show up and hammer stone. Archaeological evidence from the workers' village at Deir el-Medina shows organized tool storage, structured daily schedules, and maintained living quarters. These weren't slaves in chaos, they were precision workers who understood that the quality of their environment directly determined the quality of their output. Correspondence wasn't theory to them, it was standard operating procedure. So we've traveled from a messy bedroom to the Princeton Neuroscience lab, through the temples of Karnak and Luxor, into the Corpus Hermeticum and the Emerald Tablet, and back out again into your life. And the conclusion is not complicated, it's devastating in its simplicity. You are not in your environment. You are your environment. The boundary between you and your space is a convenient illusion that the Hermetic masters saw through 4,000 years ago. The principle of correspondence is not a spiritual platitude, it is an engineering specification, and the first thing it engineers is the room you sleep in. Every unwashed dish is a broken promise your subconscious is keeping score of. Every organized shelf is a signal to your deepest mind that you are someone who maintains order, and order is the prerequisite for power. The ancients didn't whisper, "as above, so below," as poetry. They meant it as engineering instructions. Your room is the first rung of the Hermetic ladder. Climb it, or stay on the ground wondering why nothing works. But here's the thing that should keep you up tonight. If your physical environment controls your mental state with this level of precision, if the principle of correspondence is this powerful operating on the material plane alone, then what happens when you discover that your internal frequency has its own architecture, one that can be tuned, amplified, or completely sabotaged? You now know how to physically arrange your space to clear your timeline, but none of that matters if your internal frequency is out of sync. Click the video on the screen right now to uncover the missing key that the modern manifestation industry is hiding from you.